All right, let's finish this thing. Number 53 is where we left off after part 1. So in part 2, at number 53, it says find the lateral area and the surface area. Okay, again, we didn't find the lateral area of anything, so just surface area of the cone. So don't forget that our surface area is the area of our base plus pi times radius times slant height. So area of our base, pi r squared, so 100 pi plus pi times 10 times 16, so 100 pi plus 160 pi is going to give us 260 pi feet squared, or if you multiply it out, we will get 816.81 feet squared. Okay. Surface area, we need that slant height. So Pythagorean theorem to find the slant height, we've got 8 squared plus 16 squared equals slant height squared. So 64 plus 256 equals slant height squared, or 320 equals slant height squared. Take the square root of 320. Our slant height is going to be 17.89. So now we can take the area of our base, 64 pi, plus pi times our radius times our height. So 64 pi plus, we multiply that together, we get 143.12 pi. Add them together, we get 207.12 pi centimeters squared, or we multiply it out and get 650.69 centimeters squared. Okay, now we go into volume. Okay, so the volume is the area of our base times the height. So we multiply these together to get the area of our base, and we get 96 multiplied by our height, and we have 384 meters. Now we're talking volume, so now it's meters cubed. Okay, same thing with a prism. Okay, just be careful with the area of your base, because now it's 1/2 base times height. So base times height is 8 times 1/2, and now you're going to get 4. So 4 times your height is going to be 12, and multiply them together, we get 48 meters cubed to be our volume. Okay, so now we have a cylinder. Again, area of the base times the height, same thing. Area of our base, pi r squared. Okay, 18 squared is 324. So 324 pi times our height, which is 21. We have 6804 pi. Thinking. Feet cubed, or multiply it out and we get 21,375.4 feet cubed. Okay, volume of our pyramid, if we find that formula, it's going to be 1/3 times the area of the base times the height. Okay, remember we're talking height now, not slant height. So area of my base, 12 times 11 gives me 132. So we have 1/3 times 132 times our height is 14. So 1/3 times 1848. So in your calculator you can either take 1848 times and then put 1/3 in parentheses. So parenthesis 1 divided by 3, or you can just take 1848 and divide it by 3. You end up getting 616 meters cubed for your volume of that pyramid. 59, okay, volume of our cone now, so we have to find our cone. We have 1/3 area of the base times the height. Okay, we have the height, so we're good there. So 1/3 15 squared, type that thing in, is going to give you 225 pi, because it's a circle, and times our height is 16, okay? So if we multiply that, we get 3600 pi, times by 1/3, we get 1200 pi inches cubed, or we can get 3769.91 inches cubed. Okay, again volume, okay, area of 1/3 times the area of our base, 121 pi, times our height, okay, don't forget to keep pi hooked on, and we are going to end up with 282.33 pi millimeters cubed, or you can multiply it out, 886.98 millimeters cubed. Okay, volume of our pyramid again. Okay, so 1/3 area of our base times my height. So 1/3, gotta take 17 times 17, get 289, times my height is 16. So 1/3 times 4624 gives us 1541.33 meters cubed. Okay, surface area of a sphere. That's going to be 4 pi r squared. Okay, so 4 times pi times 9, or 36 pi. Surface area is meters squared. Or multiply those guys together and we get 113.1 meters squared. Okay, now we're doing volume. Volume is 4/3 pi r cubed. So 4/3 times pi r cubed in this one is going to give us 1367.63. Okay, so you've got to take 1367.63. You can either times by parentheses 4 divided by 3, or you can take 1367.63, multiply it by 4, hit enter, and then divide it by 3. And what you need to end up with is 1823.51 pi. That's going to be millimeters cubed because we're talking volume. Or multiply that guy by pi and you're going to get 5728.72 millimeters cubed for your sphere. Okay, straight up Pythagorean theorem, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So we have 169 plus 64 equals x squared. 233 equals x squared. Take your square root of both sides. X equals 15.26 centimeters. Okay, multiply the radicals. If they're both underneath there, we multiply them together, which gives us the square root of 98. Then we have to simplify. So I can write this as the square root of, gotta find a perfect square, so 49 times 2. Square root of 49 is 7, so 7 square root of 2 is what I get for 65. Okay, 66, we have 5 times the square root of 81, but then we gotta take the square root of 81, so 5 times 9, and we end up with 45. We didn't even have any square roots left in that one. Okay, on 67, if I am going to simplify this one, perfect squares, so square root of 9 times 7, the square root of 9 is 3, so 3 root 7 is what I end up with for that one. Okay, more Pythagorean theorem, 32 squared plus plus 43 squared equals c squared. So we end up with 1024 plus 1849 equals c squared. And we end up with 2873 equals c squared, and c is going to equal 53.6. Okay, 45, 45, 90 triangle, so 3 square root of 2. So if I'm going to go backwards, they give me the hypotenuse, I want the leg. So if we remember in my 45, 45, 90 triangle, if this is x and this is x, this is going to be x root 2. Okay, so if I'm going to go backwards, I have to get rid of that square root of 2, and both my x and my y are going to be 3. Okay, same thing with this. This is 45, this is going to be 45. So if this is 23, this is going to be 23, and then this is just going to be 23 times the square root of 2. Okay, 45, 45, 90, this is 4, this is 4. Yes, you could totally do Pythagorean theorem and figure this out if you want, but it is just the leg times the square root of 2. So 4 square root of 2. Okay, now this is 60, so this is 30. So if you remember, in our 30, 60, 90 triangle, if this was x, the hypotenuse is 2x, and this is x times the square root of 3. So across from my 30 is x, which is 6, okay, which means my hypotenuse, which is across from my 90-degree angle, is just double that. So we get 12. Okay. Okay, I have across from 30, so that means my hypotenuse is twice that, so 36. Okay, and then to get to my across from my 60-degree angle, it's my shorter leg, which is 18 times the square root of 3. Okay, same thing here, except this time it gives me the hypotenuse. So hypotenuse to shorter leg, divide by 2, we get 3, and then short leg to long leg, 3 root 3. Alright. Alright, so now you're doing these guys. Make sure that your calculator is in degree mode. Okay, so starting on number 75, you need to get your calculator in degree mode. Very important. Alright, but now they just want fractions. So tan of A, okay, so this is where we have SOHCAHTOA. So they want tangent of A is going to equal, the O stands for opposite, so opposite is 8 over adjacent is 15. So just 8 over 15, that's all you have to do. Alright, so now we want to find x. Right, it says use the tangent ratio. This is the angle that we have. So I have tangent of my angle, so tangent of 21 is going to equal opposite is x over adjacent is 24. Okay, so now you have to think of this as being over 1, and we cross multiply. So 24 times the tangent of 21. Okay, if you plug that guy into your calculator, you get 9.21 is what x equals. Okay, if you didn't get 9.21, make sure that your calculator is in degree mode. Because if it's in radians, you're going to get some funky decimal. Okay, sine, cosine, and tangent. Okay, all they want here is fractions. Okay, so I'm looking at t. My sine of t is going to equal opposite over hypotenuse. Cosine of t is going to equal adjacent over hypotenuse. And my tangent of t is going to equal opposite is 24 over adjacent is 7. Okay, same thing here. They should be in lowest terms. I'm not going to dock you on your test if you don't put these in lowest terms. So if I go sine of t, I'm looking at t, opposite over hypotenuse, oops, 34. Put that in lowest terms and I get 15 over 17. My cosine of t is adjacent over hypotenuse, reduces to 8 over 17. Okay. And my tangent of t is opposite over adjacent. We reduce that one to 15 over p, not 7, 8. Okay. Now we've got to find lengths, okay, and we have the hypotenuse. So we're going to use sine and cosine because those are the ones that use hypotenuse. So I can go sine of 21 equals opposite over hypotenuse. Okay, so now cross multiply 16 times sine of 21, and on this one we end up with x equals 5.73. Okay, and then we do y. We still have 21, but now y is my adjacent side. So now I have to go cosine of 21 is going to equal adjacent, which is y, over hypotenuse is still 16. So now when I cross multiply, still the same thing. 16 times cosine of 21 this time, and we end up with y equals 14.94. Okay. In number 80, exact same thing. Okay, have the hypotenuse, so we're using sine and cosine. So sine, our angle is 27, so sine of 27 is equal to opposite x over hypotenuse, 38. So 38 times the sine of 27, we end up with x equals 17.25. Okay, y is my adjacent side, so now I'm going cosine of 27, that's my angle, equals y adjacent over 38 hypotenuse. Cross multiply 38 times cosine of 27. We end up with y equals 33.86. Alright, now moving on, we only have a couple left. Okay, now we need x. Okay, so we have to figure out what sides we have. We don't have the hypotenuse, so remember we've got so we don't have the hypotenuse, so we can't use sine, we can't use cosine, so we've got to use tangent. So what happens here is I have tangent of x is going to be equal to opposite over adjacent. So when I plug this guy into my calculator, okay, this is where I have to go second tangent. Okay, so I have, because it means tangent inverse of 13 divided by 8, and we hit enter. Ooh, and see, I got that answer, which I know is not right. So I have to hit mode, make sure I'm in degree mode. Okay, when I get out of there, now again, second tangent, 13 divided by 8. Okay, and that looks way better. So now I know that my angle measure, x equals 58.39. So tan inverse of 13 over 8 is how we figure that out. So that's where we have our second tangent. Okay, this one we want b. Okay, again, no hypotenuse, so I've got to use tan. So tangent of b is equal to opposite over adjacent. So the tan inverse of 6 over 8. Okay, punch that into your calculator just like we did our last one. And we end up with 36.9. Now we want a to the nearest degree. Okay, now I do have the hypotenuse. I have the opposite and I have the hypotenuse. So O and H is my sine. So sine of A is going to be opposite over hypotenuse, or the sine inverse of 14 over 18. And now A is going to equal 51.06 degrees. Okay, and last one. Okay, we need x, y, and we need h. Okay, in order to get h, I've got two sides, so I can just use my Pythagorean theorem for h. 6 squared plus 10 squared equals h squared. 36 plus 100 equals h squared, or 136 equals h squared. Square root of both sides, and h equals 11.67. Okay, now we need x and y. We didn't have our hypotenuse. Okay, so that means we've got to use tangent. So if I'm going to do x first, tangent of x is going to equal opposite over adjacent, or tan inverse of 10 over 6. Okay, that's your second tangent sign. And you get 59 degrees. Okay, then you've got to do the same thing with y. Tan of y equals opposite over adjacent. Okay, so now our tan inverse of 6 over 10, second tan, and we end up with 31 degrees. Okay, I will see everyone Thursday morning at 8 a.m. Do not be late, because remember, if you are late, you are going to have to take it during the makeup session.